Let's move on to the makeup of our GL accounts. The Iowa Department of Education determines the main structure to create consistency among all community colleges for reporting purposes. This structure requires our accounts to be made up of 5 segments, those being fund, location, function, unit, and object. Starting with the fund, each segment becomes more and more specific in identifying the revenue or expense we are recording. As a side note, there is the potential for one additional segment, which you are not seeing listed in this training. The additional segment is called a project ID. A project ID is not required for all GL accounts. The addition of a project ID applies mainly to grants, study abroad trips, and capital projects. If you have the need to use a project ID, that will be explained through other communications. The fund is the first of 5 segments in an account. The fund will always have 2 numbers which identify the type of resource supporting the revenue or expense. We have a total of 8 funds, some of which are restricted and unrestricted. Our second segment is the location and also consists of 2 numbers. While the location segment identifies the physical location of a department, there are exceptions to this rule. For example, a budget that is college-wide or one that covers multiple locations may default to the location of 10 main campus. A good example of this is facilities. Individuals who work in facilities can work at any of our locations. However, the budget for facilities is listed as 10 main campus. This is also true for some grant funding. The third segment, also made up of 2 numbers, is the function. This segment identifies the function performed by the organizational unit. Function 1, Arts and Humanities, through 4, Cooperative Programs and Services, are all directly related to educational programs, while all other functions provide support to our educational programs. The fourth segment, known as the unit, includes 6 numbers. This segment identifies specific units for instructional and support functions. This slide is only showing the first 2 numbers of the unit, which provides the division level. There are a few levels within the 6-digit unit which provide the ability to report in different groupings. For example, all academic affairs accounts start with 10. There are many unit numbers within academic affairs that are more specific to each department. However, they all start with 10. A few that you will find within academic affairs are agriculture sciences, industrial technology, health sciences, and English. When we get to the resources at the end of this training, I will show you where to find a listing of all units available. The last required segment of the account structure is the object code, which is also made up of 6 numbers. This segment identifies the specific type of revenue or expense. All revenue objects begin with 4. A few examples that are listed are tuition and fees, state and federal appropriations, and sales and services. Please note when viewing your revenue activity, for accounting purposes, the amounts will show as credits or negative amounts. All salary and benefit objects will start with the number 5. This would include full-time and part-time staff, payroll taxes, and benefit expenses like medical, vision, and dental. Operating expenses start with 6 and include services, materials and supplies, travel, media, utilities, and non-capital equipment. These types of expenses are the most commonly used throughout the college. Non-operating expenses start with 7. A couple examples are interest and principal and depreciation. And lastly, capital expenditures start with 8. A capital expenditure must be $5,000 or more. As I mentioned in the beginning of this training, there are additional resources available for your use. In Policy Manager, you can find multiple finance policies that pertain to your use of GL accounts. The 4 main policies will be capital asset, purchasing card, also referred to as P-card, and the travel and business expense policy. Employee Processes Plus contains listings of each segment in detail. For example, when we looked at the object, only the first digit was listed. The object listing found in Employee Processes Plus provides all revenue and expense objects available for your use. If you are watching this training video, there is a good chance you have also been asked to complete either budget officer or viewer training, as well as entering or approving requisitions. These training resources are also available in the same manner in which you access this video.